What is required of a ship manager, relationships, and other factors. This chapter explains that the role of a ship manager is much broader than simply fulfilling a written job description. Although responsibilities are formally stated in job descriptions, an effective ship manager must also understand legislation, company systems, organizational structure, communication channels, workplace relationships, time management, and the human factors that affect daily operations. A ship manager must stay updated on all laws, regulations, codes, and guidelines affecting the vessels under their responsibility. The Safety Management System, or SMS, should be reviewed and kept current by designated personnel. But the chapter warns that a ship manager should not blindly rely on others. Mistakes, including clerical errors, can occur. Therefore, the ship manager must question, verify, and remain actively aware of whether company procedures meet legal and operational requirements. The chapter also highlights the importance of relationships within the office and the wider organization. Office politics is presented not necessarily as something negative, but as a normal part of organizational life. A ship manager must build relationships with colleagues not only to get help when needed, but also to understand how the company actually works. Many important operational realities may not be written down, so informal knowledge and good relationships can make the job easier and more effective. Another major theme is workload and time management. Shipping is described as a demanding industry, and ship managers must manage their time carefully while also maintaining a reasonable work-life balance. The chapter stresses that recognizing excessive workload is important. Asking for help should not be seen as weakness. It is better to request support than to continue under pressure and risk making a serious mistake or damaging one's health. The chapter then explains how organizations are structured. Every organization is made up of individuals who form groups, and these groups must work together to achieve the organization's overall purpose. Organizational charts, also called flow charts or organograms, show relationships between people, departments, and reporting lines. However, the chapter notes that actual working relationships may differ from the formal chart. Several basic management tools are identified, identifying activities, planning, organizing, directing, controlling, and clearly defining roles. For an organization to work effectively, tasks, responsibilities, roles, relationships, and communication lines must be clearly defined. If these are not properly explained, communication failures and lack of training can prevent expected improvements from being achieved. The chapter gives special attention to hierarchy. A hierarchical organization depends on clearly defined responsibilities, specialized roles, centralized decision-making, formal procedures, clear accountability, and vertical communication. Ships traditionally operate through such a structure. The ISM code also requires certain organizational structures to be identified and documented so the SMS can function properly. However, the chapter explains that organizational structure is affected by more than hierarchy alone. 4 major elements shape how an organization works: structure, human resources, politics, and culture. These factors interact with one another. The effectiveness of an organization depends heavily on how people are managed, how leaders behave, how individuals pursue their own goals, and what values and norms exist in the company. The chapter defines a manager as someone responsible and accountable for the work of others, or someone who carries out management tasks even without formal authority. The ship manager's basic role is to anticipate and prevent problems first, and then solve problems that still arise. Management is not limited to one department. Technical, operational, chartering, human resources, and other departments all have management functions. A ship manager should understand who their immediate contacts are in the company and what those people do. This helps the manager know who can assist with particular problems and what support can realistically be expected. The chapter discusses Henry Fayol's 5 main management activities: planning, organization, command, coordination, and control. Planning involves looking ahead, setting objectives, and deciding how to achieve them. Organization involves providing human and material resources. Command or motivation involves maintaining good performance from personnel. Coordination brings together different activities, so effort is not wasted. Control ensures that work is carried out according to company policy, plans, and legal or recognized guidelines. It also presents Fayol's 14 management principles, including division of work, authority and responsibility, discipline, unity of command, unity of direction, subordination of individual interests to general interests, fair pay, centralization, chain of command, order, equity, stability of personnel, initiative, and esprit de corps. These principles are shown as still relevant to modern ship management, even though they have been adapted over time. The chapter distinguishes between strategic and operational management. Strategic managers focus on long-term plans and overall direction. Operational managers implement those strategies in specific departments or functions and deal with daily problems involving operations and personnel. Planning is treated as a key responsibility. Good planning ensures that everyone involved in an operation understands what will happen, what is required of them, what resources are needed, what risks exist, and what contingency plans are available. Planning includes setting objectives, collecting information, identifying hazards, preparing contingencies, establishing communication, identifying resources, and managing time. The chapter also introduces mind mapping as an alternative to purely linear planning. Traditional planning often uses lists and structured thinking, but mind mapping helps managers see the bigger picture. It allows connections between different concerns to be visualized and expanded as new developments arise. This is useful because real-life operations are not always rational, predictable, or mechanical. Management control is another important topic. Control means measuring whether objectives are being achieved. A control system includes planning, setting performance standards, monitoring actual performance, comparing results with targets, and taking corrective action. If objectives are not met or nonconformities occur, immediate action should reduce the effects of the problem, while longer-term action should identify root causes and prevent recurrence. Toward the end, the chapter explains that ship managers often use management principles in daily work without consciously recognizing them. As they gain experience, they can better understand which management styles suit them, their company, and their operational environment. The chapter also warns that management is always evolving. Companies must adapt and introduce new ideas, but changes must be properly explained to employees. If the workforce is not prepared, new systems may reduce efficiency instead of improving it. The final self-assessment section asks ship managers to examine their company's organizational chart, identify their own position, list the people they work with, and trace communication lines. This exercise shows that formal organizational charts do not always reflect real operational practice. Main message of the chapter. The central message is that a ship manager must be more than a technical or administrative officer. A good ship manager must understand regulations, company systems, people communication, organizational structure, planning, control, leadership, and workplace culture. Success depends not only on formal authority, but also on relationships, adaptability, awareness, and the ability to manage both people and processes effectively.